Scott were Jehovah's Witnesses, right? Which adds a different dynamic and a different perspective in regards to their divorce. Because from what I've learned the last couple of days, if you do not follow their guidelines and parameters, you'll be excommunicated. Marriage is for life, and that the only circumstance where you can get divorced is unless the individual cheated, one of the parties cheated, and there's no reconciliation. That's it. That's the only time divorce is allowed within that faith, or you'll get excommunicated. So, knowing that, people keep projecting Christian values onto their divorce versus looking at it from the lens as a Jehovah's Witness. It's like, Yahoos are projecting hard. I mean, the amount of think pieces that I've seen regarding, oh, he's jealous of her. Men are always embarrassing women. You know, as soon as your career is done, a man is always going to try to sabotage what you got. And I'm like, did it ever occur? Did it ever occur that maybe, just maybe, Christy might have been so insufferable that he opted to cheat in order for him not to be excommunicated? Because he wanted to maintain his faith. He chose his faith over staying married to someone who is making him miserable. Point number two is, you can tell that the women online's ego is so inflated that they can't seem to conceptualize and grasp that maybe a man can genuinely be unhappy in his marriage. But she's beautiful, she's hot, she's successful, and so what? And I keep saying this over and over again. A lot of you women think that all you need is just to be pretty with a nice body and that's it. A lot of y'all got some nasty ass personalities and characters. Did it ever occur that with all of the shit that she's been showing us online, that she got old and tired? And he just, you can see that he checked out. It's very obvious and apparent that they checked out. That maybe he was just simply unhappy. What makes the whole situation so hypocritical is if the situation was in reverse, where he was embarrassing her, he was disrespecting her, he was humiliating her, y'all hoes would be doing all sorts of think pieces talking about, oh, this is abuse. You deserve better than that. You should leave, this, that, and the third, right? The number of times that I've seen women come up on the internet when another woman posts how unhappy she is in her marriage, you should leave, you should leave, you should leave. But let a man show, he ain't even have to say it. He is showing he is unhappy in his marriage. Well, you need to communicate better. You need to endure. You need to do this, that, and third. And it's like, what's the difference between him and Cardi B? Hmm? And then y'all sit there and go with the gaslighting, talking about, well, cheating shouldn't be the option based off of their faith. And I'm looking at it from the lens of their faith and knowing what the rules are of their faith. He probably did communicate that he wanted out of the marriage. He probably communicated that he was unhappy and she did not fucking care. The same way y'all don't care. And he was like, well, fuck it, I'll cheat. Maybe he didn't cheat and said that he cheated in order for him to get out of that marriage. Did it ever occur that maybe she was so insufferable and he was so unhappy and he did not want to risk getting excommunicated that he just said, yeah, I cheated and admitted it? He didn't get caught. He admitted it. Maybe he didn't cheat. Maybe he just said he cheated just so that way he could be free of that marriage. I know what it's like to be married to someone that makes me perpetually miserable. But the fact that women can't seem to grasp and comprehend that a man can be unhappy with a woman, especially if she's beautiful and successful, is just lost on you. At the end of the day, it's all speculation in regards to who did what and why. You know, they only show us this much. I caught on that there was something amiss with the marriage months ago, months when they stopped wearing their wedding bands, when she was attending all of those events solo, his micro expressions where he was just so over it, the way she was treating him, it was compounded. So I was surprised, but I wasn't surprised at the same time. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, it's their lives. It's easier for him to either admit that he cheated or he did cheat it because he'll be fine. He'll recover. Versus if it was the other way around where she cheated, she wouldn't recover. her brand and her career will be negatively affected. Men will easily bounce back. They can kind of suffer the brunt of it. Desmond is an attractive man. He is successful in his own right. He'll be all right, you know? But one thing for sure, two things for certain, divorce is rough, regardless on if you're the man or the woman. It is rough. It is a roller coaster of emotions, and they do deserve privacy so they can process all of that. I didn't know.
All right. I'm gonna say this, and then I'll yield the mic. Um. So Desmond is a professional chef. Just a little backstory. She is pretty much the the content creator. She's the one who does a bunch of the goofy stuff on TikTok and on YouTube. She does the dances. She does like the pranks and things of that nature. And he's kind of like the husband who's involuntarily a part of the pranks and the jokes and stuff like that. And you know, they made it for some time, and I guess at some point things kind of went south. Again, why they ended up in this situation is all hearsay and subjective. But based off of this clip in the background that you got, what are your initial thoughts?
I don't know a ton about the couple, so I can't speak on whether or not I think the infidelity stuff is true or not. But I definitely side with a lot of what the woman commentator was saying. One, celebrity women, influencer women, very frequently do have very inflated egos, particularly ones that are focused on their image being their fame. It goes to your head. It really messes with your self-perception, your perception of how people perceive you, and it can really mess with your sense of reality, essentially, where you basically think that everyone else thinks the same way as you, and that everyone else sees you as big and amazing as you are. And there's a phenomenon too, psychologists have been finding, is people that center their entire lives around social media have a very egocentric way of existing, where they basically do think subconsciously or at least consciously that they are the center of the world. Like, they really think that everyone knows them, that they're extremely famous, that they're extremely important, and they put themselves up there with celebrities, even if most people don't even know who they are. But making your career out of just fame basically really does mess with your sense of self-perception. So I definitely agree that could have had a role in that. Also, the fact that as outsiders, like, we're never going to know everything. We're never going to know the truth of what's going on underneath that relationship. We don't know if he was happy or not, if she was happy or not, what could have led to this disillusion. One of the red flags I was noticing just from looking in their history is they are apparently middle school sweethearts, which is statistically incredibly unlikely to succeed. Typically, people that meet as young kids, the relationships very, very, very rarely end up successful, just because of how development happens, and just everything that will happen in your life very frequently directs your course away from each other. So it's very uncommon for people who are middle school sweethearts to actually stay together. So when I saw that they were middle school sweethearts, I wasn't entirely surprised that this was the end result, because oftentimes people who are that young and staying together. They're staying together because, oh, well, we've known each other so long, and they're staying together because that's the rhythm they know. And those are the people that they're familiar with. And there's also some sense of like romanticization where they're like, well, we've been together since middle school, so we have to stay together. And they're kind of pushing themselves through and don't want to break up the relationship because it has that status. So I wouldn't be surprised if that also potentially had an impact on them not being a good fit, but them staying together for as long as they did. And yeah, in general, it's hard for me to say exactly if, like, I can't say if that was true or not, whether the infidelity was true or not. I feel like it's a little bit weird for somebody to be like, oh yeah, I cheated on you, even though they didn't, and that just being the reason to break up with you. I find that a bit fishy. Like, I believe that if he says he cheated, he probably cheated. But I also definitely see her point about like a bunch of people saying, well, how could you cheat on her? Like, she's the perfect woman. You don't know that. You don't know what her personality is like behind the scenes. You don't know how good she was as a partner, because relationships are not just, oh, we get along, we're cute together, we take good pictures together, we kiss and do stuff. It's like, can you cooperate doing the dishes? Can you cooperate vacuuming the house? Do you agree on how to raise your children? Do you agree whether or not you get pets or not? Like, there's so many nitty-gritty details people don't take into consideration that can drive couples apart. So there's probably a lot we don't know in this sense.
I used go ahead, you got it.
No, go ahead, man.
I watched them a little bit over the years. I wasn't like a diehard fan or nothing like that. I mostly stuck to the shorts. Like, the shorts are, they're just clean and concise, and they kind of just get to the point. And she's definitely camera thirsty. I'll say it that way. I don't know how to tidy it up any more than that. She loves to be in front of the camera. You don't see him unless you see her. She's the one who masterminds all of the creative dances, the trendy dances, the dressing up in goofy outfits and Halloween costumes. She's the one that's pretty much the performer of the relationship. I never was a put my business out for the entire world type of a person. I prefer privacy. I've seen too many examples of people using social media only for it to turn them into something that they wasn't before. You could have been the most humblest person ever prior to it. And as soon as people start liking you and they start giving you all of this attention, and they give you and shower you with compliments and admiration, you become big-headed. And you have a lot of people that get in your business. They become so self-involved, like it's a sickness to me. It's like you don't know these people at all, but if you grew up with them on social media, you act almost as if you were part of the family, like you're a cousin or you was a part of the wedding. And no, you're not. You are tuning in for some type of entertainment, just like I am. Either you're looking at them because by American standards, it's an attractive man with an attractive woman. The woman has a bubbly personality on camera. You love that she's goofy. You love that she's silly. You love that he carries himself with a level of humility because he lets her just be goofy as hell, lets her be her on that camera. But that's what you see here. What you don't see off screen is how it's affecting both. And Sydney, you spoke about how it changes certain women in this position, but we're not really understanding that this was her channel. He started his own afterwards, but her content was centered around her. He was just a part of it, and you turn that mic off, you turn that camera off, and then what you're left with. So I always thought they seem like they having a whole bunch of fun, and I could see why a lot of people would be like, I wish I could find somebody like this. I wish I could find a woman like this, or I wish I could find a man like this. But at the end of the day, you really don't know anything other than what they're giving you here. And I think that is the dangerous part about romanticizing public figures. I yield the mic.
I think it's interesting because I think we do the same thing that like celebrities and influencers do to themselves, where we glamorize the like they're living the life that I want because we're seeing what we see on camera. We don't see behind the scenes. Like even in movies that we know are fake, we still glamorize those relationships. We still glamorize those experiences. And like literally movies are put together showing the very specific things they want to show us. Excuse my daughter if you can hear her. Or with fame, with like glamorized lifestyles, people on both ends, the ones that are living it and the ones that are watching it, are tricked into thinking that's how it should be always, and B, that it's like end all be all, like the way that you see it, if it's glamorized, if it's you have the lovely lifestyle, you have the fancy apartment in New York City, and you get to go to the beaches and take like you get to drink all those fancy drinks and stuff. Like most people are like, oh, that's the life, but they never consider what's going on behind the scenes. And it's the same way with relationships. Like both the lives that people live and the relationships that people are in, for the most part, we only feature the parts that are nice, unless there's drama, and then we show off the drama. But even then, we're like picking and choosing the drama that either makes us look good or the stuff that'll get us views. So there's a huge discrepancy in how people are actually living and how things actually are. This is something that I've kind of been thinking about. I watch a lot of minimalism content, and one of my favorite YouTubers was talking about how a lot of people that are posting minimalism content, they're showing these lives, but they're not actually living that way. Like behind the scenes, the picture perfect house where it's always clean and it's always organized and nothing, they never have any stress at all. They're just kind of going with the flow, and none of that is true. Like, yeah, they don't have as much stuff, so they don't have as much to manage, but you can never truly have a perfectly stress-free life, a perfectly manufactured, manicured life. No matter what people put online, no matter how you portray it, people are always going to have stressors behind the scenes that they're not going to show to people. And I know for influencers in particular, people that have a relatively inconsistent income, finances is one of the biggest stressors in relationships. And if they've had a lull in their viewership, that could have even contributed to their behind the scenes demise. And yeah, so they're showing this life that we assume is perfect and idealistic, and they themselves are promoting a life that is idealistic because they know that's what we want to see. They're not going to be forward and honest with us about it unless that was the focus of their channel, and that's not the focus of their channel. If I remember correctly, the focus of their channel is like basically just entertainment and pranks and stuff like that. And I think they kind of went into family life type stuff, but it was mostly like positive, uplifting content. So they're not going to be brutally honest with us about what's actually happening and what's going on behind the scenes. And so yeah, it with influencers, with celebrities, we're very, very rarely going to get the full picture. And so that's going to be misleading to the viewers. And then it also, as I said, to a degree, affects the very people that are living that life, where they kind of expect that they have to portray this type of life for everyone, to hide any sorts of dysfunction that they might be experiencing. So they even could have been diluting their own problems by wanting to at least put on a facade that everything was okay. So yeah, all this was to say that when we see this type of stuff online, it's very rarely going to be the full truth of what's going on behind the scenes. It's always going to be some form of manufactured image with bits and pieces that they're comfortable releasing, but we're never going to get like the full truth of this. And I think it's just it's just going to continue allowing relationships to get glamorized. This isn't really going to change anything. People are going to continue seeing celebrities, seeing influencers online, thinking that that's the way it is and that you can have this magical life. Well, behind the scenes, everyone has their problems.
Coach, what you got?
Yeah, so what I'll say is what I took away from the video and what's being glamorized right now is that 50% of marriages throughout the United States are ending in divorce. So this is something that's being marketed, because everything that you guys talked about was just marketing. You know what I mean? That's it. Identifying who the actual